proud of. Okay, so let's get into some of the questions about Kindle. Tom, what's the easiest way to format a book for Amazon Kindle? Well, in the old days, you used to have to get into HTML and do a bunch of hoops, but Kindle said, that's too much trouble for people. So they created Kindle Create software. That's the actual name of it, Kindle Create. And it's a software that they have Mac and PC versions. You download that to your computer. There's a million tutorials, or we'll show you how to do it if you're in my program, how to use the software. And it makes it 1,000 times easier to make a Kindle book. And the software is, of course, free. So it costs you nothing to create these Kindle books. You can even create, well, I'll talk about covers in a minute, but yeah, Kindle Create software is the answer to that question. All right, Tom, what is the first page of Kindle technique I hear you talking about? I heard you, but I need it explained better. All right, well, sorry about not explaining it good the first time. So any kind of Kindle reader, so you can have the Kindle Fire, actual hardware, or you can have the Kindle reader for your cell phones or for your laptops or tablets, has a function where you can click a button when you're reading a book and go to the beginning. I think that's what the button's called, go to beginning. Well, guess who gets to set where the beginning of the book is, or the first page? Even though it's not necessarily the actual first page, it's called the first page or the beginning of the book. You get to set that when you put your Kindle book up there. So one of the techniques is you always want to give a freebie in the book where they have to come back to your website to opt in, so you get that person in your database. See, even though I love Kindle, Amazon gets the customer. I don't get the customer's name. I don't get a chance to follow up with them. So anytime you do one of these, you want to put what's called a bounce back to your website where they get some kind of freebie. It could be the audio of the book, or it could be another checklist or another free ebook or whatever you want, as long as it makes sense to them and gets them back there. And you put that near the top of the book. There's several really cool reasons to do this. So right now we're talking about the first page technique. Anytime the person that's reading your book hits go to beginning, you have chosen, or you should have chosen, that page with the freebie as the beginning of your book. That way, it keeps hitting them in the face that they can get a freebie. Let's say they didn't want to go right off the bat to your website. So they read the book and they say, wow, this is really great stuff. And then they remember, or they hit go to the beginning, maybe they want to reread something, and they land on the freebie page again of your book, and then they can click over to your website, opt in, and get their freebie. So that's the one thing. The second reason that you want to have a good freebie at the top of the book is because, or on the first page, technically not the first page, but the first page of the beginning of the book, is because there's a look-in function. If you go to Amazon and pull up a book, at the top of the book, there's a little button that says look in. So they can click the book, and I think the average is about, they show you maybe 10% of the book. But they're going to see then your freebie. So even if they don't buy the book, which, I want them to buy the book, but I'd much rather have them in my database to hear all the other stuff that I have out through the year, so that are usually much bigger money. So they can use the look in function, see part of the book, and see your freebie without even buying the book. So that's why the first page, putting a freebie on the first page or at the beginning of the book, is so critical to your overall success, because they can see it over and over again when they hit the button to go to the beginning. And if they don't buy the book and they happen to use the look in function to check your book out, they can still get the freebie and get in your database. So that's the first page Kindle technique. All right, Tom, how do you pick categories? Well, first of all, it's kind of a balancing act here. You want to pick